You sit down, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. You intend to pray, or maybe just meditate for 15 minutes. But almost instantly, your brain starts generating a loud, stressful list of unanswered emails and errands. Early Christian monks in the 2nd century attempted to solve this problem with physical distance. Known as the Desert Fathers, they sought absolute isolation in these harsh Middle Eastern landscapes, believing that only by removing every external sound could they successfully fight their inner distractions. Saint Teresa of Avila proposed a 16th century alternative. She viewed the human soul as an interior castle formed of a single crystal. In her vision, this castle contains 7 concentric mansions, with each layer leading toward a bright, quiet center where God dwells. Saint Teresa's writing provides a highly structured framework for navigating this interior space. By following her logic, you can turn her mystical vision into a 7-step routine practiced anywhere. Within this system, solitude is an internal skill built through daily practice. To start, you need 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted time, a notebook, and the willingness to sit through initial boredom. As we look at the outermost ring of the crystal globe, we enter step 1, or the first mansion. Saint Teresa instructs you to spend the first 2 minutes on self-reflection, acknowledging your own flaws and recognizing your smallness compared to the divine. In this outer courtyard, the mind swarms with worldly thoughts. Saint Teresa calls these distractions the reptiles at the gate. When they crawl into your focus, do not fight them violently. Acknowledge them, then gently return your focus to the room. Now we move to step 2, the second mansion. Here, you put on your armor by doing a short reading from a spiritual book or scripture. This physical act provides a focus point that helps tune out the lingering noise of the day. Step 3 brings us into the third mansion, a phase characterized by absolute dryness, which Saint Teresa calls aridity. During this step, you will likely feel no spiritual comfort and no emotional warmth. Your only job here is to commit to staying in your chair. If you feel incredibly bored during this phase, the routine is working. Saint Teresa points out that this stage tests your discipline. It forces you to rely on your determination rather than waiting for sensible devotion, the warm, fuzzy feeling of spiritual satisfaction. The foundation of deep contemplative prayer is built on the persistence to sit through silence, even when it offers no immediate emotional reward. Now we reach a major pivot at step 4, crossing the threshold into the fourth mansion. Saint Teresa calls this the prayer of quiet. To enter this state, you close your book and stop actively meditating or analyzing your life. Saint
Teresa offers a specific directive for making rapid progress here. She writes that to advance, it is not essential to think much, but rather to love much. You put this into practice by entering a state of recollection. You do this by letting your intellect go to sleep, dropping your complex thoughts and replacing them with simple, quiet acts of gratitude. This naturally pulls you into step 5, the fifth mansion. Here, you enter a cocoon of surrender. You yield your personal will entirely to the divine, giving up the need to control your circumstances or the outcome of your prayer. When you successfully surrender your will, the constant friction of self-interest drops away, leaving a quiet, passive stillness. Saint Teresa compares the soul in this state to a caterpillar that enters its chrysalis and emerges as a white butterfly, no longer limited to the crawl of its previous life. There is a practical test for this stage. You cannot force this state through sheer effort, and importantly, it is validated not by how peaceful you feel during your prayer, but by how actively you love your neighbor once you get up from the chair. Advancing into these deepest layers of the mind requires a complete shift in tactics. You have to abandon intellectual problem-solving and fully surrender control. Step 6 brings us to the sixth mansion, where you must accept the fire. Getting closer to the divine brings a painful longing and intense interior trials, as your remaining imperfections are exposed by that proximity. When these internal or external afflictions hit, your task is to offer up your current life struggles. Instead of asking for your trials to be removed, you use this time to ask for the strength to bear them. Finally, you reach step 7. This graphic shows the seventh mansion, the innermost bright center of the castle. Saint Teresa calls this the spiritual marriage. In this center room, the soul remains in God's presence chamber, where the spirit stays quiet and undisturbed, even as the body or the lower mind handle the day's stress. You conclude your daily prayer time here by setting a deliberate intention. You resolve to carry this deep inner calm directly back into your chaotic everyday work. Looking at this photograph of a serene, sunlit stone cloister, you can visualize what Saint Teresa calls the integration of Martha and Mary. In this final stage, your mind remains full of peace, like Mary in the protected sanctuary of the cloister, while your body handles the stress and chores of Martha out in the world. The ultimate goal of the interior castle is to forge an inner sanctuary so strong that worldly chaos can no longer disturb your peace. Here is the 7-step framework from start to finish. Step 1. Practice self-knowledge. Step 2. Use spiritual reading to tune out the noise. Step 3. Persevere through the dryness. Step 4. Prioritize loving over thinking. Step 5. Surrender your will. Step 6. Embrace your trials. And Step 7. Integrate that peace into your active life. This takes time. One of the early desert fathers, Abba Theodore, once had a frustrated monk come to him complaining that he had lived in solitude for 8 years and still found no peace. Theodore replied that he had been a monk for 70 years and hadn't found a single day of peace. True spiritual progress requires a lifetime of persistence. Take a screenshot of the routine on your screen right now. Tomorrow morning, challenge yourself to set a 15-minute timer. Step out of the noise and walk right into the castle. Before you go, leave a comment below and tell me, which of these 7 mansions do you anticipate being the hardest to navigate?